Have you ever wondered what to do with all your resin bits that you collect up? Well, I collect all my bits up, and these are generally over pours where I've made something that they've poured onto my mat, and then I keep them. I've got a lot of them. Sometimes I turn them into jewellery, but I'm going to have a go at making something different with them today, which I think you're really going to enjoy if it works out. What I've done is I've printed an image here, which is going to be a piece of stained glass. Well, it's not going to be stained glass, it's going to be stained resin. I've got myself a piece of acetate here, and I'm going to connect that to that, and I'm going to work on top of this piece of acetate. So all I need to do to stop that moving around too much is attach that to there, like that. And that way, that isn't going to move while I'm placing my pieces on. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to cut these already cured, really non-flexible pieces, and they are quite hard to cut while they're like that. Okay if they're thinner, but if they're thick like that, then you can't cut them. But I'm going to show you a way how to do that, and I'm also going to show you a way on how to connect them all together. So now I've got that bit ready, I've got all my bits out that I want to use, and I'm going to make this quite multi-coloured. I've also got a second one, which is where I'm going to cut out the designs that I want, or the shapes that I want. So first one I'm going to do is the head. So I can cut out each individual piece from the head. And I'm going to have the hair in this glittery, transparent pieces that I've got left over. All I need to do is cut along each piece until I've got the shape that I want. So I now know that that piece is going to fit in there. I don't really need to leave a gap between each piece. So what I'm going to do is put that on there. Now, I could stick it on if I wanted to. That would make it a little bit easier. So what I'm going to do is stick this onto there. And all I'm using is this double-sided tape here. Stick that onto there. And now that gives me something to cut out. Now, like I said, these are really, really strong at the moment. And they're going to be very difficult to cut. But it's epoxy resin. So if it gets hot, it's going to start to move and soften up. So what I'm going to do is heat this up using my hairdryer. Don't be tempted to do it with a heat gun because it might overheat it and burn it. But a hairdryer is not going to do that. And that has softened that up enough that I should now be able to cut through this quite easily like that and get it really close. Now, if you need to reheat it, then just reheat it because it will firm up quite quickly. And this is a bit thicker than what my normal bits are, but that's not going to be too much of a problem either. And now that bit should fit around there quite nicely, which it does. And now we can move on to the next bit. What I am going to do though is to save myself a little bit of time, I'm going to turn on my heat box that I've got and put all my bits in there so they're getting warm and they're already starting to soften up. And then I can just take them out when I need them. So I've got that set up there now, and I can just put these bits in, spread them about like that, and that'll get those nice and warm. So there we go, got that on now. That should warm those up and make life a lot easier for me. I'm gonna move that out the way so it gives me a bit more room to be able to work. And now, so I don't lose this piece, because that is quite possible as well, I'm just gonna put a little bit of this glue on here, stick that where I want it, which is there. And now I can do the same with this piece. And I know where it's going to go. It's there at the bottom. Now, if you don't have asbestos hands like I have, then you can always hold the piece with a pair of tweezers like this first while you're heating it up. Oh, yeah, nice and pliable again. And if you've got any fiddly bits that you're having struggles with, then you can do them with a knife like this. But always make sure you cut away from you, because you don't want to be cutting into your hand. And I know that from experience. And then all you have to do is start building up your pieces like this, so that'll fit in there nicely like that. Again, I'm going to glue that bit on so I don't lose it, and all I'm doing is gluing it onto this acetate. So I'm going to continue on and finish this hair, and then I'll show you how I'm going to pick my colours and what I'm going to do to finish off the rest. So I've got my hair and the face and the band of the head done, and I've decided to do the face. I think this is blue. So I'm going to also do the arm in blue as well. And then I can work on the dress. I'm going to do the dress in different colours, I think. And so far, it's working out quite well. Some of the bits are a bit thicker than the others, but that's not too much of a problem. And I think that will come out okay at the end when I put the finishing touches on it. But it does seem to be working. So again, I'm going to heat this up so I can cut this round. Big thank you to everyone that got me a coffee last month. Your names are coming up on the coffee board now. I really do appreciate it. Every penny of the coffees goes back into this channel. So thank you. It's people like you that allow me to keep this channel going. So that's got that nice and soft now. And I can now cut roughly around that. And then I can trim it up and get it to the right shape. And then to get that little fiddly bit, all I'm going to do is go around it with a sharp blade like that. And there's the arm done. Put that on there, double check it, make sure it's all okay. Yeah, I'm really pleased with that. And now I'm going to just clean that paper off using a bit of water. Well, finished putting all my bits in now, and they're all stuck down using that double-sided tape. I think that's come out really, really pretty. And now I need to put my outline in. I'm going to use either the coloured resin or the glittered black UV resin. I'm not 100% sure which. I want to have quite a thin nose bottle for this. So what I'm going to do is just decant some of this into here. And hopefully that should work for me. It's going to take its time to drip down there because it is quite thick, but it will go through in the end. So I've covered that up with packaging tape now, and that will stop the light getting in there and curing that up. Now, I'm only put a little bit in there because I really want to test to see whether this is going to work. And it looks like it probably is, because now I can go around these little edges here with this dark, and then once it's in there, and I can cure it up with my UV light. And then once it's all nice and sealed, I can then go over it with the glitter UV resin. Now I'm still working on the acetate because that way it's just going to pull straight off once I've finished filling all these little gaps in. Yeah, that seems to be working quite well. So I've done a bit there, and now what I'm going to do is hold that in place and then just cure that up for a couple of minutes as I go along. And that should be enough now. That should have cured that up enough. I don't need to fully cure it yet until right at the end when I've done it all. I just want it to hold the pieces in place. So once these pieces have all been held in place, I will go around and finish off all the edges using the glitter UV resin. And now I've got that bit done, and I will cure that up completely for about 2 minutes. So I've finished putting all my base colour down now, and then what I'm going to do is make sure that it's fully cured up everywhere and give that about 3 minutes under my lamp before I go over it with the glitter UV resin. Now this is a lot thicker, so it's going to sit on there a lot nicer as well. So I'm ready now to do this. And this is where you need a steady hand. And unfortunately, as you know, I've mentioned it before a lot of times, I don't have a particularly steady hand. So I'm sure if you're going to try this, you're going to have a much better effect than me. But what I'm going to do is try my hardest here. Go round and do this as neatly as I possibly can. And all I'm going to do is go over where I've already put the black coloured resin. And if you keep squeezing it, then you won't have lots of air bubbles come up. And just move slowly around it. So I've done that bit, and now I'm going to cure that up for a minute. And then I'll work my way around the whole piece in exactly the same way. And UV resin actually cures really, really hard, and it isn't as susceptible to heat fluctuations as epoxy resin. So it shouldn't warp if it's in a window or somewhere like that. And the reason you want to keep curing it up like this as you go along is, even though this is really nice and thick and viscous, you don't want it to spread out too far once you've put it on. So there we go, that's had 1 minute, and that's cured up on there really, really nicely. Can you see there? So what I'm going to do is go ahead, do all the details, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do with it once I've got it all covered. So I've gone all around that now, and I've given it 3 minutes to cure up. Now, before I take it off of here, what I'm actually going to do is cure it up as well from the back by just placing that way up, and then going over it for another 3 minutes. And that makes sure that all your bits are lovely and cured. Okay, so now that's done. And it should be cured up both sides. And all we need to do now is remove this acetate. Now, where I've used that glue on it, it may leave, like you can see here, some residue. But that's not a problem, because we can get that residue off with a little bit of 99% alcohol. And it is only the back of the item anyway. So all I'm going to do is pop some of this on all the way over where there's some residue and leave it for a few seconds. Probably about, well, a few seconds, probably about a minute and a half. And then I can wipe it off. Now, if you like this side as well and you want to turn this into so it looks like the other side, you can just go around it using exactly the same method as I've just used on the other side, and it will build that up and make it look lovely. But I don't need to do that for this. And that's already starting to break that glue down from the double-sided tape that I used to put these down with. And taking a clean baby wipe, if you then just rub over that where the alcohol was, you'll find that that sticky will just remove. Look, lovely. So now we're nearly finished, and the last thing I'm going to do is pop a little bit of detail on here using UV resin in this little pot. So I just want to put a little bit of a mouth there, a little bit of an eyebrow, and then a little bit for an eye. Well, that's all finished now, and I think it's come out beautiful. It looks really, really pretty. And it's a great way of using up all your little scrap bits or overpours of resin. That was all it was for me, as you saw, and that's come together really, really pretty. Now, I could put a little suction cup on this and stick it to a window, but I've got plans for this that you'll see probably in a project coming up soon. I hope you've enjoyed this project as much as I have. If you want the ultimate guide on how to use UV resin to make jewelry, then click on the video that I've got coming up next. You'll really enjoy that one. Move that like button, hit that subscribe button, but most of all, enjoy your resin. Take care. Bye.